you want me to show you something, let me know. But for the moment, this is Jökulsárlón in Iceland. With that note, I get back onto the focus on our main subject, and I hope you can see me loud and clear. So the subject of today's discussion is why are people not content and satisfied? Yes, Bridget, what happened?
Dear Herr, please, I would like to have a picture of the glass, the eyes blue. It's very, very beautiful.
Okay, I'll send you I will send you pictures and videos. Just send me a message. I don't forget. Put a message. I will send you all the pictures and the videos. We have shot many videos today and yesterday, and even now we will shoot some videos, and we will send you all the videos.
Thank you so much.
But it is very cold.
Very nice. I like it.
It is God's creation, and it is amazing. Like as I told you, this blue is like an ice cream cone, but it's all ice, right? It's an iceberg, and it's only small piece on the top, but inside is huge. 90% is under the water. Only 10%. This is only 10%. What you see is only 10%, and 90% is under the water. It's a huge glacier, so it's very beautiful. Okay, so today we are asking the question: why are people not content and satisfied? Anybody? Why is it that people are not content? Shivoham. Yes, Rekha.
People are not content and satisfied because they think they are going to live forever and they're going to take everything with them. They don't realize that they have to die.
Okay, agreed. And because they don't realize that death is around the corner, they're not content and they're not satisfied. Yes. They want more. They want more and more and more.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, what the thing is that we are not contented what God has given. Still, we are expecting more. When we expect more, we will get regret. So that's why we have to be content with what we have in life.
But I want you to go a little bit more deeper. I want you to go a little deeper and ask.
Sir, I feel that why we will not content and means sometimes we are expecting more, and sometimes what we expect also will get less, not neutral, which will get satisfied.
I think there is something deeper. I think there is something deeper than that. Yes, somebody else wants to say something.
Shivam, yeah, Ashok Chotwani, Shivam, sir. Yeah. So, due to not realizing that we have to go empty-handed, we will not take anything with ourselves.
Okay. But that's similar to what Rekha said. But
ignorance.
I think people are not content and satisfied because people want more and more. Correct?
Yeah.
Am I right or am I wrong? People want more and more. Is it right or not?
So the difference between the need and the dream gets blurred.
No, but why is it that people want more and more when we are not?
They are comparing others.
Good. Why do we compare with others? Why do we compare with others?
With the rich persons and famous people, we are comparing.
But why do we compare?
Ambition. Ambitious.
Why this ambition?
So that's because we are caught with the materialistic achievements.
Why?
Because we associate ourselves with the body now. So it's like that the world should appreciate me. I don't want to be self-appreciated. I want the world to see and say that Sudeep Bhargava is so rich or he has got these kind of possessions. Because I'm looking for the outside world to give me the happiness. When I start looking outside for the happiness, then I don't need the outside materialistic things.
Now you are coming to the right point. After such a long time, you have come to the point. We want more and more Sudeep said, because we want happiness. Because we are searching, we are thinking that more will give us more happiness.
Yes.
And this is a big mistake. This is a big mistake. You know, let me make you understand a simple thing. There was one man. He was very fond of pizza. Very fond of pizza. So his guru taught him a lesson. Whenever the guru used to give food to people, if there was one plate of pizza, this man will take all the pizza and eat it. Eat. So the guru wanted to teach a lesson. So what the guru did, the guru said, okay, he got him a pizza. And as he was having pizza, he finished it. He got him one more pizza. So he told the guru, no, one pizza is too much. I cannot eat. But the guru said, no, because you are eating everybody's pizza. I'm giving you one more. So with great difficulty, he ate the second pizza. And when he finished, the guru kept the third pizza. He told the guru, no, I cannot eat it. I will die. If I have to eat 3 pizzas, I will die. The guru taught a lesson to everybody. The guru said, you are so greedy about pizza that whenever there is pizza, everybody must take 1 slice. But you take 6 slices. You take 8 slices because you don't want to you are so greedy. You are never satisfied. You are never content. And then the guru taught them a lesson that because when we get too much of something, then we realize that we get fed up of it. So what I'm trying to do, we human beings are craving for things, and we want this, and we want this, and we want this. And we are never satisfied, and we are never content. What does enlightenment do? Why am I talking on this point today in this call? Because enlightenment makes us realize that we should learn to live a life of contentment. What does enlightenment do? It teaches us to be content. It makes us enjoy and makes us accept and makes us be grateful for what we have. And if we are not grateful for what we have, we can see this is going one step further. How to live a spiritual life in a material world. A material world does not mean not eating pizza. In a spiritual life doesn't mean that you have to give up pizza. You can eat pizza, but don't get up in the morning and start saying pizza from morning. Don't say pizza for lunch, pizza for dinner, pizza for breakfast. No, I'm just giving an example. So learn to be content, because after all, like Rekha and the others said, life is just a show. We come and we go. Correct? So we have to learn that we should not be slaves to our desires. When we are slaves to the desire becomes a master and we become unhappy. All the time we are thirsty. I want this, I want this, I want this. And we are not happy. This is not living a spiritual life. So this is an important aspect of enlightenment for basic day-to-day living. Let me tell you, in enlightenment topic, we talk about big subjects. But people ask me so many simple questions. People ask me simple question, why is it that I am never satisfied? I say you are never satisfied because the ego is taking command. The mind is taking command. Your senses are taking command. What is spirituality all about? Spirituality is being the master of the body, the senses, the mind, and the ego. This is spirituality. Spirituality is about living as the divine spirit, the Atma, the soul. Then you are peaceful, you are blissful, you are content, you are satisfied. So do we have questions today? Can we get on to questions? Rajendra, question from Rajendra.
Shivam here.
Shivam, Rajendra.
Actually, right now I don't have any question. I mean, yesterday's question is out of my mind right now.
Should we have the question? Should we give you the question?
No.
But
Yesterday,
okay.
Yesterday I had a question, but right
But
now it is out of
okay,
my
so
mind.
so let me ask you a question
Okay.
about your question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about your question.
Please.
Why is it that the question that was in your mind is not in your mind?
Because a simple answer to this question is that I am frequently caught up in the Maya.
Okay, let me explain to you a little bit a spiritual answer to this.
Okay.
The problem in our mind is the mind is bombarding us with 50,000 thoughts a day. How can Rajendra Makwana remember that thought when there are 50,000 thoughts? The problem is when you are in a state of consciousness, you don't forget the thought. When you are in the state of consciousness, every thought is like a precious pearl. And you are not muddled. And you are not confused.
Right.
So therefore, consciousness helps us to value important thoughts. And it will, even if the thought slips, you will be able to recollect that thought very fast if you are in the state of consciousness. And the problem with the mind is sometimes, you know, some very important idea will come to the mind and within minutes it's gone. Then you are scratching your head for 1 hour, for 2 hours, for 5 hours to find that important idea, but you are not able to get it.
Very true.
So this is the answer is to move from thoughts to consciousness. When you are in that state, there is clarity. There is complete clarity about what you want and what you want to ask and what you want to be. And there is no bombarding from the monkey mind all the time. Okay, thank you. It's good you forgot the question because it led us to an analysis of how we should live our life. Next question.
Next question, Jyotri.
Jyotri is asking a question. Yes, Jyotri.
There are 3 barriers to enlightenment. Lust, shame, and duty. How to protect ourselves from shame?
Jyotri says that there are so many barriers for enlightenment as we speak, right? Duty, lust, and shame. And Jyotri is asking the question, how do we protect ourselves from shame? So the point is, who gets ashamed? Jyotri, who gets ashamed? It is I. Who is this I? It is the ego. The ego gets ashamed because the ego is separate from others. The moment I think that I will feel ashamed about what you think about me, shame comes about. But if I feel I am one with everybody, if I think me and this iceberg are not separate, me and the mountains are not separate, if I think me and Girish are the same, if I think Girish and me are not two separate souls, why would I feel ashamed of Girish? I feel ashamed of Girish or Sudeep only because I believe I am different from Sudeep and Girish. This is the challenge for us. Our challenge is to be able to find that oneness. You know, let me add a very important point. Today, in the world, there is so much war. I don't know how many of you have read the book World Peace. Have I spoken about world peace to you? In this world, there is no peace because one man is trying to kill another man. Why? There is conflict. There is difference in religions. There is difference in nationalities. North Korea and South Korea are fighting. Why is it that there are fights all the time? Man is fighting and fighting and fighting. Why is this fight? Only because the ego thinks I am different from you. So when Jyotri said that why do we get ashamed? No, shame is only coming because of ignorance that you and me are separate. In fact, all of life's problems. In another book, I speak of many problems, one solution. All the problems of our life come from the fact that we think we are the body, the mind, and the ego. The triple suffering of our life is from body, mind, and ego. How do we overcome this? So this is the whole journey of enlightenment. The journey of enlightenment is the ability to understand that we are not the body, mind, and ego. We are the divine soul. And the moment we realize we are the divine soul, we are liberated from the triple suffering. So good, let's have some live questions. Anybody who wants to ask a live question? Leena Anand. Yes, Leena.
Shivam, sir.
Shivoham. Tell me.
My question is, what is enlightened soul?
What is enlightened soul? Okay. Do you know that you are a soul? You are a soul. You are a soul in the body. Okay. You are, what's your name?
Sharanya.
Shania.
Sharanya.
Sharanya. So Sharanya is only your name. Sharanya. Okay, Sharanya. You are a soul, but you are not enlightened soul. When you become enlightened soul, you will not say, I am Sharanya. Because Sharanya is only the name of your body.
Yes.
Who is an enlightened soul? The one who is enlightened. I am not the body. I am not the mind. I am the soul. So you're still a small girl, but it's good to learn. Because more important than learning mathematics and English and science is learning about life. And I know that you have asked question before also, Sharanya. It's very important for children to learn. And I'm going to speak after I answer Sharanya. I'm going to speak about something which is very important about what I learned in Iceland in the last 2 days, my dear friends. So Sharanya, just to answer your question, enlightened soul is a soul which has got light. Today, everybody in this world, Sharanya, they are living in darkness. Living in darkness means they cannot see the enlightenment of the soul. And a girl like you, a young girl like you must keep on asking your mother and father to teach you the meaning of I am the soul, I am the soul, I am not the body, I am not the mind. Don't you say, show me your hand, show me your hand, show me your hand. Whose hand? Whose hand is this? Whose hand? Whose hand? Who is telling it is my hand? Who is telling?
Soul.
Who is telling this is my hand? Who is telling that?
Mind.
Okay, but what's the name of the person who's telling? Sharanya is telling, correct?
Yes.
Sharanya is telling this is my hand, correct?
Yes.
Whose hand? Whose hand? Who is that my? Who is that my?
Yes.
So that is what, as a young girl, you need to ask your mommy and daddy to explain to you. And you must learn. Enlightened soul means you switch on the light and then you see the answers. Okay. Thank you, Leena and Mutkula, for encouraging your child to ask questions. My dear friends, all of you who have children at home, I was reading a new book. A book is being released in 2 or 3 days. It is called The 4 Quarters of Life. I don't know how many of you realize that we are teaching our children nonsense. We are teaching our children how to fight in this material world. But we are not teaching our children how to grow up spiritually. It is our mistake. Our children will become achievers, but they will become unhappy achievers. They will only live and die to be born again, and they will come back and suffer. And who is the cause of this suffering for our children? It is most unfortunate. We are the cause. We are causing our children to be ignorant because we are teaching our children. Today, Leena and Mutkula Anand are encouraging their daughter to ask a question. What is the meaning of enlightened soul? That girl is barely 10 years old, but she's asking the question, what is the meaning of enlightened soul? Our children must learn the ultimate goal of life. First of all, if we have children, our responsibility is not just to feed them material food and clothing and shelter. No, we have to develop the spirit in our children. And unfortunately, we don't do it. And then we Not only we suffer, they also suffer. Okay, so that is an interesting thing. Thank you. Next question.
Mukesh, how do we know whether action we perform will dissolve karma or create new karma?
How do we know whatever action we perform will dissolve karma or create new karma? Actually, action is karma. Action doesn't dissolve karma. Action only creates karma because circumstances dissolve karma. So it is not an action does not dissolve karma. You have to face your karma. You have to face cancer. You have to face an accident. You have to face poverty. You have to face a problem. Or for that matter, you have to face a reward. You will be honored. You will be given the benefit of a reward. So your past action, they will come as circumstances. And what are your present actions? They are creating new karma. So this is a twin karma. We should not misunderstand the meaning of this. Karma are of two types. One is present karma, which is creating new karma. One is past karma, which is coming back to us, not as karma, but coming back to us as life. So this is the important thing. So, the other important thing for all of you is you have to learn to ask questions, not only listen to answers, because listening to answers will not help you to go as much forward as asking questions. Whatever be the question, if you have got answers to all your questions, then you are enlightened. Then you don't need anything in this world. But as long as something is missing, we have to keep on asking questions. We have to keep on asking questions. What is holding me back? What is my problem? Why am I not yet able to see? For example, I see God in every iceberg. But when I ask some colleagues, do you see God? They say, no, honestly, I only see a beautiful iceberg. I cannot see God. Why is it they cannot see God? Because there is no God realization. Why there is no God realization? Because there is no self-realization. So next question, please. Kumar Swami, yes, sir. Question from Kumar Swami.
Shivoham Guruji.
Yes, Kumar Swami, Shivoham.
My question is, if I pray God about somebody who is suffering, will it work that prayer?
What do you think, Kumar Swami?
Somebody is suffering. So on behalf of him, I am praying to God. So if this person is suffering, please make less suffering for him. If I pray on behalf of him, it will work.
Excellent question. Now you give me the answer. Now you tell me. No, I'm Kumar Swami, my dear Kumar Swami. You analyze. You please analyze. I'm with you. Together we are going to analyze.
Okay, as per my knowledge, it will not work.
Why it will not work?
Because he is taking his karma. Say, as per his karma is suffering, I cannot change his karma because God only can change the destiny of the dilution. God only can do it. I cannot do it. But when I can do, because if I realize it, I can do it. If I'm not realizing it,
so by praying is any use, Kumar Swami, or is this where you're wasting your time?
No. Praying us, it will be more effective. Praying for others will be effective, will be less. I am understood.
Yeah. See, this is the biggest problem. Whole world is praying for others. Whole world, complete world is praying. Kumar Swami, not you and me. The whole world is praying and praying and praying. People, when they don't know to whom they pray and what they say and why they pray, then they don't pray, they just bray. Bray means like a donkey. Because what is the use? Our prayer should be for our communication and our relationship with God. We can pray and tell God, oh God, my mind is troubling me. My dear God, my mind is troubling me. please help me, oh God, please help me. Correct. You know what, that's why Buddha said, Buddha, he has some beautiful teachings, Buddha. One teaching of Buddha is Apodipo Bhava. Apodipo Bhava means you have to light your own light.
Yes.
You cannot wait for other people to light. See, even our own family members, our own friends, we can wish them good, but what is wishing good got to do? It is of no use unless, you know, Kumar Swami, instead of wishing somebody good or praying to somebody, we should bring them to a session like this and make them listen, and they should transform, and they should go forward in the journey. But just by, oh God, Kumar Swami is not well. Oh my dear God, please help Kumar Swami. It is just like God does not know. I am telling God to do his business. Huh? I am telling God, oh God, you are a fool, man. God, look at Kumar Swami, such a nice man. Wake up, man. God, you fool. Come on, help Kumar Swami. It's like telling God like that.
No, it will not work.
Yeah, you are right. You are absolutely right. So when we are praying for other people, we are only wasting time.
Yes.
This is the, I know if you go and tell somebody Kumar Swami, they will bang you and bang me also. Because they will not understand. No, because they will not understand. It's not their mistake. They will not understand. In this world, Kumar Swami, everything is controlled by karma.
Yes.
If there is pomegranate growing in your garden and I pray to God, oh God, Kumar Swami has got pomegranate, please change it to jackfruit. Please change to jackfruit. Will it change?
No.
But this is a very dynamic thing Kumar Swami asked today, because all of you have got friends and they will refuse to believe this. They will say, what you're talking nonsense. Everybody should pray to God for other people. We should always pray, oh God, that lady is in hospital. Oh God, please save her. Oh God, she has got cancer. Please save her, God. Nothing is going to happen. The prayer is not going to help. Next question. Vibha Gupta has a question. Vibha Gupta, what is your thought on attachment? Do you think it is a barrier in self-realization? Of course, attachment is a barrier in self-realization, because when there is attachment, what happens? When there is what happens is, in attachment, we start having expectations from somebody we love. We start wanting something for like Kumar Swami said, we start praying for somebody we love. We start hoping, we start wishing. So attachment is connecting us to the material world. And therefore, if you are asking the question, is attachment going to stop us from enlightenment? Yes. Because we do not realize the truth that every individual has their own karma. Every individual will live and die the way they will. We can love people. Vibha Gupta, it's not that we should not love somebody. We should love people, and we should love people a lot. And on the outside, it may look like we are attached. But deep within, we should be attached to none. We should only be attached to the divine. Because we should realize we are a manifestation of God. You and me, we are the Atma. We are not separate. We are all one Atma. But we don't realize this. And because we don't realize this, and we are attached, we are attached to so many people. We are attached to our parents, we are attached to our children, we are attached to our beloved. One man said, oh, if something happens to my Mehbooba, I will die. No, why should you die? Because something will happen to your Mehbooba one day. Either it will happen to you or your Mehbooba. Both are not going to hold hands and go to heaven. It's not possible for two lovers to hold hands and go to heaven together. We know that. We come alone, we go alone. Then where's the question of being attached? So attachment is a sure fetter. It's called a fetter. Fetter, you know what's the meaning of fetter? Fetter is something that imprisons you. It's like handcuffs. Fetter is a chain. What does attachment do? It makes it chains you. It puts a chain. It holds you. It puts a chain on you and ties you to the one you are attached to. And you can't attain mukti, freedom, liberation. What is the goal of life? The goal of life is liberation. And liberation means detachment. Vibha Gupta, I hope you understand the word. The word attachment means to attach. And the goal is mukti, freedom, liberation.
Right.
Attachment is the opposite. We need detachment. Detachment gives us freedom. Okay.
Absolutely.
So do we have, okay. Thank you. We have
Thank you.
one more question from Gaurish. Gaurish, for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his very mind will be the greatest enemy. Bhagavad Gita. Array, amazing. Yeah. So good. For him who has conquered the mind, it is correct. The mind will be your best friend. But who has not conquered the mind will be the biggest enemy. Gaurish has picked this up from the Bhagavad Gita. But the only problem, my dear friends, very difficult to conquer the mind. It's very difficult to control and conquer the mind. But that is our ultimate goal. And do you know how to conquer the mind? Anybody can tell me the answer? Anybody can tell me how to conquer the mind?
So by silence.
Who can tell me the answer? Sudeep, Kumar Swami. How to conquer the mind?
Always we should be in the conscious. Then only it is we can control the mind.
Very good. Excellent answer. Excellent answer. But how? How will you do that?
Go into silence.
Silence is a good way, but silence is only temporary. The moment you
CBT hello.
The moment you lose your silence, the mind will come back.
Come back to yoga.
Come back to yoga. Excellent. But how do you remain in yoga? How to come back to yoga? It is you're saying come back. But how to be in yoga?
Bringing back the mind. You'll tell no, sir. If it goes somewhere, bring it back.
Excellent answer. But how? What is the method to be in yoga?
Like meditation, something.
No. What is the method to be in yoga? Sudeep, did you try to say something?
I was talking about silence and going towards the thoughtlessness. But correct. I think Rekha ma'am has already said that.
See, so your answers are all correct.
Guruji,
Yes, Kiran, bolo Kiran. Pranam.
Cut the tail of the monkey, EY, and change it into monk.
आप लोग तो मेरे सब लेक्चर को याद कर दिया by heart. So, Abhi, tell me your answer is correct, Kiran. But I am asking you, what is the method of cutting the tail?
With intellect.
Correct. When does that happen?
When we realize we are not the body and mind.
Excellent. Who said that?
Rekha.
Correct. So Rekha, that's right. It is through self-realization. It is by self-realization that you conquer the mind. It is by self-realization that I am the Atma. When you realize I am not body, mind, ego, you realize I am the Atma, then the mind disappears. Then the mind itself, you cannot find the mind because there is no mind. Then the state of consciousness comes. Somebody told consciousness. Then the state of Sat Chit Anand comes. How do you conquer the mind? How do you cut the monkey's tail, Kiran? How do you cut the tail of the monkey, EY? Through self-realization. The realization of what? Anybody can tell me? Bridget will give the answer. Bridget, what is the realization we should get, Bridget? You know the answer, Bridget. What is the realization?
Realization?
What is the realization we should get to conquer the mind?
Everything is a show.
Correct. But what is the realization? That is one of the realization. What is the principal realization?
That I am not mind, body, and ego.
Yeah.
The principal realization is
Neti neti tattvamasi.
Yeah.
Okay.
Niti
That-
niti twas asi.
When- so
I'm not good in Hindi. Is that correct?
Yeah. But you remember neti neti, right? You don't need to be good in Hindi. You remember neti neti.
Niti niti.
Yeah, that's all. Just remember neti neti. So, my dear friends, Gaurish, so that is the whole challenge of life, that we need to, if you want to conquer the mind, you can't conquer the mind. It's like, just like saying, if I want to capture this iceberg, how do I capture this iceberg? Can I go and capture the iceberg? It's difficult to capture the iceberg, but it can dissolve, it can melt, it can disappear. When the sun comes out, the iceberg will melt, and this huge iceberg, the huge glacier will disappear. So the mind should disappear. The mind should melt, and the mind will melt when we realize we are the divine soul. So with that thought, I hope the call was not a difficult call. Audio and video connection was good. I bow down to all of you for being patient and for bearing with me when I travel. And I look forward to your divine presence tomorrow at 8. We will be at another location.
You were to share with us your experience in the last 2 days.
What experience about? I told you about. I have been reading the book on the 4 quarters of life.
Okay,
and my experience is that we human beings have forgotten what our children should learn in the first quarter and what we should do in the second quarter. And finally, Rajendra, when I was in the plane from Bangalore to Frankfurt, my realization was, if only we realize that before the third quarter is over, our life will be over. You do realize that you are probably in your last quarter of life. So what are you waiting for? So when your wife tells you, I want to buy a house, you say, "ठीक है, next quarter." Oh, next quarter मिलेगा. You just tell her that. And in this quarter, you try to realize God and become one.
I really want to do that.
Okay, thank you one and all, and I will see you tomorrow. Shivoham, Shivoham.